That's how the landscapes look like over there, at least on the area I was working. If you make an aerial picture or a satellite image, you get many nice things. Here is a meadow. You say, okay, the Latino, the hombre blanco is here, you know. All right. Sometimes not tan blanco, not so white, but actually people looking like me in many cases. So that's what you get here. But then here you have a river, very important communication path. In many cases, roads are constructed roughly following the same way. And what you have here, what do you think? Is everything forest here in the area, for example? What do you think?
It looks like it.
It looks like a forest. When I saw the aerial pictures over there, the first thing I did was, okay, I want a map. I want a collection of aerial pictures, satellite images, and so on. I said, okay, that's a forest. Let's walk inside and look how the forest is. There is something you can realize here. For example, the texture of the forest is changing here compared to here, for example, and there. And you say, okay, and it doesn't look regular, yeah? It doesn't look smooth. It looks like this, and you say, okay, there, as an ecologist, you say, okay, there is a lot of disturbance occurring here. Clear cutting sometimes, selective logging, making the roof, let's say the canopy, not to be even, but, you know, irregular. So you start walking around there and you say, ah, that's a forest here. You get it if you are a biologist. All right? But when you start talking to the people, drinking beer, going to the cantina together, or joining parties, or simply being friendly and trying to respect, then you start sharing, they learn from you, you learn from them, and you say, shit, it's not a forest. In many cases, they clear cut an area, like here, about 1 hectare, rarely more, surrounded by vegetation. You find something similar here, here, that one here. They are Chakra in Quechua language. Let me say the Chakra crop in order to distinguish it from the other Chakra. Right? And the Chakra crop is a place where the natives, they clear cut the area, they collect seeds of different trees and so on from inside before clear cutting them from outside, and then they start planting manioc, corn, some beans, jam, banana, plantain, and a large number of plants, but they make it very wisely. They start, after the Chakra, after planting the Chakra, sometimes they use fire, sometimes they don't, it depends on how much it is raining. Okay, and then they plant everything there, and after the first 9 months, after the 9th month of the Chakra plantation, then you get the manioc. Okay, and now we have calories here. We combine it with all of the other things around. If we have some cattle, we also take the milk and so on. They have a very diversified economy. And after the 9th month, the Chakra, the terrain starts to be recolonized by tropical rainforest tree species and actively planted with some of these other tropical rainforest tree species they were nurturing earlier, and then the forest starts to close, yeah, the canopy. But it's a combination of natural processes and humans joining the process and enhancing it, yeah. So the Chakra phase starts a second period called Ushun. Ushun is from the 9th month until, let's say, the 6th year, respect to the moment you made a clear cut. Right? During this time, the plants you are having there are growing slower. You get still some harvest with the manioc and the bananas and so on, but You do it for the short term, and it goes on, and then the mid-term harvest species, let's put it that way, start growing and then start producing little by little. Now try to imagine, if your family is too large, it doesn't work. Someone will get hungry. If your family is too small, it doesn't work. Because you need people to harvest for the harvest, you need people to go hunting, you need people to take care of everything and so on. So it doesn't work. How the heck the people over there define how many people is too much, how many people is not? Well, I really believe they are still doing it. It is a millenary process, but it's going fairly okay, probably much better than many of our societies. So during the ocean period, the forest starts looking, the kind of green you find looks just different because of that. And at the end, well, it's a long end and you cannot say where exactly it starts. After the ocean period, there is, a gradient in time and in land use practices coming into the so-called Purun period and traditional, let's say, traditional secondary forest. Instead of letting the forest to resprout, instead of just abandoning the land after using, which is made by the Latinos. You use the land and then you abandon it, and then it starts resprouting quite quickly. Instead of doing it, you continue extracting resources and taking, okay, look at this tree. It was about this diameter some years ago, probably 2-3 years ago. Now it is about this diameter. Now I can use it for the roof. Here is a remnant tree. It's about this size. Okay, I can use it for the posts, for replacing something broken in our in our home. Yeah. Oh, the palms. It's rare to find someone cutting the palms because you get the root from the palms. Yeah. Sometimes they go deep into the forest, relatively deep, and kill some palms, cut them, extract the palmito for eating. Sometimes inside the very same palm, they find larvae of rhinoceros beetles, and they eat the larvae. It's a very good source of protein, but particularly fat. And so on, and so on. Of course, there is disease they cannot control. There is odor they do. So, at the end of the day, the final result is not necessarily this one, but more similar to a classic, large, tropical rainforest photo. And we all said during I don't know how many centuries that it is a huge forest, virgin forest, and so on. No, it's human manipulation. And now, in year 2017, this year, a paper published in Science with some 174, 175 co-authors. Don't ask me who was the one, controlling the feedback from all the other authors and so on. But anyway, it is a large paper. They made surveys all over the Amazonian shield. The Guianan shield is included, if I'm not wrong. And they said, we have evidence of human activities here. Look, many of the trees we have found are edible and domestic. Mexicans are saying the same since many decades. In 1987, for example, Arturo Gómez Pompa, now at the University of California, Riverside, something like that, I forgot. As well as at the Universidad Veracruzana, he started formulating the idea many forests are effectively result of human activity and human manipulation, and for Mexicans it is just the bread and the butter. But now the world is discovering human intervention, It occurs when you are not going to drink the beer with the people.
You were saying that, my understanding is that the Spaniards would cut down an area, grow a crop, and then let it regrow into forest. Whereas the indigenous people would cut down a crop and grow a succession of different things and extract more of the resources, but it would then go back to forest afterwards. Is that therefore the indigenous method more sympathetic to the forest? Would it? Because to me it seems like if you grow a crop, the Spaniards grow a crop and then let it grow, and my understanding was that it grows back quicker. Is that therefore better for the forest than the indigenous way of kind of over a period of time taking more things out?
Well, the thing here is, in both cases, the forest can recover very well, but following different, what we call in ecology, different successional pathways. Yeah. Here, for example, you see, it was meadow here earlier, but the forest is recovering. The matter is, per how long is the impact taking place? How intense it is? How large is the area impacted? And how well surrounded by tropical forest the area is. The resprout process in some areas is also enhanced by stumps. You know, you cut something, leave the stump, and then it resprouts. But in the Amazon, it is more a process depending on direct, what we call it, seed rainfall, seeds raining from the surrounding forest and colonizing it. Seeds in what we call the seed bank, seeds that are, you know, latent, dormant in the soil, and then when it is clear cut, they start growing. But for me, the nice thing here is that the natives are, the Quechua natives, the ones I was working with, they are engineers, they are ecological engineers. You know, they know the ecology, they know how the forest works. And what they make is they nurse seeds, and then when the forest is recovering, they start helping nature to refill the gap. And in between, they keep using. For the case of the Latinos, it depends on the Latinos. Yeah, there are people plant pot in the meadow, but they are not full. They are quite intelligent too. So they combine cacao, coffee, and so and a plant they call uva, which is a native plant. Is a tree. It looks like a grape. It's not a grape, obviously, but it is edible and sold in the market. So there are just two different approaches. One is self-consumption and food security for me and my large family, and the other is probably more capitalistic. Okay, it is more based on lower number of species, cash crops, and so on. The natives, the indigenous, include some cash crops, include cacao. They include some plants to be sold. But as well as the Latinos, they are not fools, they are not idiots. I mean, cacao is a dessert. Coffee is a dessert to be drink here by us in, I don't know, Paris or Quito, in the large cities. But at the end of the day, it is not real food. You need calories, you need vitamins, you need protein. So the cacao, International Cacao and Coffee Organization is sometimes aware, concerned, because there is always a deficit of cacao in the large factories. That's why, because the producers are smart. Yeah, many cacao planters are very smart. They don't plant only cacao; they plant something else. They want to eat. They know the price they are going to get is not the best one. So even if people say, "Oh no, the price is rising," and so on and so on, they don't. We say in Spanish, "No se comen el cuento." They do not eat the tale, the story. They eat the food, so they produce it. Yeah. One thing I will make a little parenthesis here. One thing I learned there, putting an ethical tag on the subject is not a good idea. The land user, there are many different land users, many different ways of doing land use. It also changes among individuals, even among indigenous and the Latinos. And one thing I found very nice, it always depends on the way you are using the land. How large is the area you are clearing? Is it surrounded by forest or not? Are you using pesticides or not? How much are you using? And so on. And these things don't really depend on the ethical group. So, but it performs a cosmovision, but at the same time, for me, the nicest thing, it reflects cosmovisions. Yeah, you are not, this is information not coming out of a conversation with the natives necessarily. It is an aerial picture, yeah, it's a satellite image. But you find, you can read, you can read another part of the story of human-forest interactions by looking at it and then combining with ethnographic information, aerial pictures, recognizing which plants are present, using basic ecology, this rough instead of smooth canopy, for example. That's a classic textbook tropical ecology information. Give me the following. Yeah.
Sorry. Did that double?
Yeah.
The previous one. So now let's go, give me the previous one again.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are moving, yeah, we were moving from, okay, people looking at the forest, the map of the Amazon, then the landscape level. Now let's go to the chakra level, to the, how lunch took to the terrain, the single terrain level. Make it click, oh, you made it, oh, thank you. All right, look at this. These pictures say a lot of the cosmovision. Eh? In Ecuador, children working is not a taboo. To find the children working or taking part of work, they are, by the first, whenever I saw that in Ecuador, it was never the kid alone. Helping the father, the mother, the sisters and brothers all together. So they are actually taking part of an activity. They are going to school. This is the kindergarten for them. You know who is the one taking care of the chakra crop and ushun? The women. The women. Why 9 months after planting, after clear cutting and planting the manihawk, why do they make the first harvest after month number 9? Well, if you are pregnant, you need more calories. So you make use of the other resources, but then you give birth to a baby. So there is a coordination between the plant production, planting, harvesting, and so on, the life cycle of plants, and the life cycle of people. Mm-hmm. That says something about a cosmovision. You just need to... Hey, give me a second. How many months does the yucca, the manihawk, take to grow? They used to say, well, about the 9th month we are harvesting it. You need to ask yourself why. That's why. In other countries, 6 months. But why, if your wife is eating well, why you are going to harvest too early? So, the decision is the decision on where to clear cut an area, taking the river into account, the other native peoples into account, the oil company into account, the other members of my own ethnical group being landowners in the surroundings and so on. It's a collective decision. But once the decision is taken, the leader of everything occurring is the wife, the woman. So that demands, of course, a combination of labor, your labor lifestyle as a woman, and maternity, which belongs to. So what they do is they go working with the children. And here is this lady. You look at this. She's holding a machete. I mean,
yeah,
she's holding a machete. How old is the kid here? I don't know. Try to make, who says, what, make an estimation. How old is this little creature, beautiful? One? Yeah? The one here. And the girl here. How old? And now, well, this girl here is harvesting guayusa plant. I will say something about it later. But here, look at it, the machete. And, okay, the kid is entertained here eating some a sweet cover, arai, it is called it botanically, the cover of the cacao seed. You eat it, it's sweet, it's really delicious. So the kid is sitting here, but he is also holding here with the hand, so he doesn't, start disturbing the machete and hold. Still, the machete is very close. These children, when they grow, when they are about 7 years old, they have no fear on the machete or a knife. They don't use it to kill anyone.
Yes.
It's just a tool.
Sorry, it's really nice to see this image, for me, because when I was a kid in Kenya, we would do this.
Yeah.
We'd be, my mom would carry around and use that, and because my grandparents had a plantation, and they would grow coffee, bananas, and pineapples and stuff. And that way of living, and then, also now having the other side as well. But it's nice to see that.
Yeah,
Discussion.
no, on Saturdays they drink, and they see everybody drunk, and they are relatively young when they start drinking, and they are not alcoholic. They don't become alcoholic, it's just joining the activity. Do you know what they are doing? They are playing a game. They are playing. That's what they are doing. So the kid is here, look at his face, I mean, he's not sad, no, the kid is just relaxed and, sometimes cries, of course, etc. But all in all, it's okay. And the kid is having contact, sometimes looking at here, looking how the machete works, looking on the manipulation, looking at the fruit. Learning the fruit, the smell, the flavor, the color. From the very beginning, from the earliest stages of your life, you are learning that. You are learning how the leaves look like. You are learning how the crop looks like compared to an open area. Here is a chonta palm. We call it pig's vine. In the classic Spanish we try to speak. The fruits are edible. There are lots of spines there. You can use the spines for making fire. And they are learning all this. Where is something dangerous? Here. It's very spiny. It really hurts. How the open area looks like. Sometimes you find a snake. How the cacao section of the crop looks like. How my sister or my cousin is here being held by someone else, looking at what I am doing as a respectable Quechua woman, harvesting guayusa. Look at the face of this girl. She is concentrated looking at the plant. The plant is used for making it's a holly, it's a sacred plant. It's holly. Yeah, you drink an infusion at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the woman, if you are a relatively old woman and you are not yet married, you have to wake up at about 2:30 in the early morning for preparing the guayusa for everyone. And then they join together in the village, drink it. Drink it. Katia Sidali wrote a paper, the paper you were mentioning, I was co-authoring it, and Pascual Yepes, yeah? But it's hard. It's hard. So they don't like it. And look at the face of this girl. Of course, if you are waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you must be punctual. And if you are not punctual, you may consider it for the ark, Grace. They collect Ortican plants, and they sit together in a kind of large cycle, using chairs like here, just like here. And if you are somehow falling asleep, you are not respecting what the other one is saying. So someone comes with a large branch of these Ortican irritable trees and contacting you and so on. They all accept it. It's actually medicine, but it pains. And it wakes you up.
Like Zen. That's what they do in Zen Buddhism.
Kirisaku. They whack you on the shoulders.
and it wakes you up. So you are, the ritual is a big contribution for keeping the people together, respecting each other as a group. Yeah, as a group. Now, and this is the plant she's collecting here. They have a discussion. The discussion is open because the plant is being sold. When you go to the city of Tena, you find beverages of it everywhere you go. All restaurants have it. I love it. I adore it. The plant is in the same genus. That means also to the same family, logically, like yerba mate, the one drunk by Argentinians and so on. Yeah, it is stimulant, has a lot of flavonoids, antioxidants, much more caffeine than coffee, and many of the, let's say, bad aspects of other beverages are not in there, so it is really healthy. You feel very well. Someone says it's aphrodisiac. I am not going to give my opinion. Give me the following. Give me the next one, please. So what is the pictures we were looking at were Chakra and Ushun. What occurs during Purun? During Purun, the education of the kids continues with the father. They now are learning, they started learning the names, uses, and processes of manipulating many edible plants on the chakra, on the land your mother is working. Then around the chakra there are lots of ushuns and puruns and forests. So your cosmovision is not a good idea to restrict your cosmovision just to the to the terrain your mom was working on. No. It doesn't help. You need to go beyond. So they start moving on the surroundings, moving on other terrains and so on, and you are growing. And while someone is needed to take care of the chakra and ushun, someone else must do the work of looking for resources, go further inside the forest and so on. In many cases they do it together. In many cases the men help in the chakra and in the post-harvest manipulation of food and so on. Sometimes they don't, but it's very fluent and it is very well distributed, the work. So these guys here were showing me the forest, passing through some purun, and it belongs mainly to the education activities assumed by males. Okay, so you are learning which trees are good for building a house, making a fence, tying wood, sticks, and so on. How do you cure yourself if you are in the middle of the forest and you get a problem? Where you would not walk because of potential risk, snakes, and so on. They were wondering because I was usually taking leaves and so on and then smelling and chewing some of them in order to try to learn to differentiate some plants from the others. They were wondering because it is rare to find some, and people are scary, sometimes they are poisonous. You take just a little bite and then you realize, okay, it is better not to eat this. So they like it, and sometimes scientists are coming and, okay, I am going to show you the forest, but you pay me. That's fair. They are not so far away of the market economy, so you are not disturbed. Be careful, don't give too much. And the children are learning all of this. Yeah? Which animals, they go hunting. You are already a machete expert when you are this age. So you bring jaws and you go ahead with the forest, with the foraging, we call it in biology. The search of food and resources inside the forest. And when the process is pretty well ended, the cosmovision continues getting richer. Now it is expanded to this friend of mine, René Grefa. already an expert, but making part of other aspects of the family economy, going to the city, work as a, in constructions, earn some money, bring it back, joining scientists as an assistant, collecting data, getting trained for that, giving me the names of many plants I didn't know, and that's what you get, and it expands the cosmovision, because if you are like him, you are virtually every day contacting Latinos, contacting, foreigners, and so on. The next one. This is the father of René Grefa. This is Jose Grefa. He's unfortunately completing his cycle. He's sick now. He was my botanist in chief. He was the one teaching my team. We were a large team, including students, which plant belong to different species. We recognize morphologically why, and using the smells and so on, but he was the one making the taxonomy, using the Quechua names. And then I needed a time for, checking what were the scientific names of each plant. So my botanist in chief, well, he helped me to identify some 200 species of trees. If we add mosses and if we take into account that I didn't manage to survey more than 4 hectares, probably he knows, I don't know, 500-700 species only of trees, perhaps. Just the trees. You need to include the palms, you need to include the herbs, you need to include the lianas, mosses. Oh, mosses are very interesting. They are not so aware on them. Seemingly. So he gives you tips. Hey, if you are sick or you feel dizzy or something like that, you come here. Sometimes on Sunday it's hard to visit them, because on Saturday they are drinking, and on Sunday you get a hangover. Of course, they go into the forest, look for herbs, cure themselves, clean. That's the thing. But, well, when one of those 67. Well, now almost 70 years old, Don Jose Grefa. But look at this, when you are at this age, you have a bigger cosmovision. He was working during the 70s for the oil companies coming in, trying to explore the forest and trying to find oil. They didn't know where they were stepping on. They asked this guy, he was quite young then. They helped him talk, they explained him how to use a compass, and kilometers and kilometers and kilometers coming deep into the forest, getting out, getting in trouble with other native peoples. They are dangerous. The Shuar, for instance, the no contactados, the non-contacted ones are another case. So a lot of experience, a really huge accumulated experience. And of course, he knows many plants useful for curing disease. Still, he was not a shaman. This is a shaman, Mr. Shinwango. Robert. Sincerely, I forgot. Yeah, but this gentleman is impressive. Unfortunately, I met him just once in my life. You can put this gentleman, ask him to teach in a university to master's degree and PhD students very easily. Very, very easily. A shaman. What means to be a shaman? Being a shaman implies to know not only the material aspects of the plants, animals, soil, salud, and so on, in the area you are living in. No. It also implies to have the capability to cure many diseases, including both body, mind, or if you prefer, soul. So you are going to play a big role. How to define who is going to become a shaman? It starts when you are very young. it requires you to want to become a shaman, but it is not enough. So they are very selective. In the very same way, they are really, really selective for deciding where to plant something, or where to stay, where to move. Another big decision, unfortunately not well understood by myself, is who is going to be our shaman. And once the shaman is passed, gone, who is going to replace him? Well, he is still a physician. He is still using herbs and so on to help you, to cure people and so on. Not a shaman anymore because he became Christian. Give me the next one. Now, after doing all of this, let's go back to the, we say in Spanish, vulgar, to the prosaic and trivial world of science. Yeah? Ecology and cosmovision. Ecology is not enough for understanding the cosmovision, but ecology can also say something about a cosmovision if you are studying secondary growth forest that has been interpreted by people. Here are the results of some plots I was surveying. 1 hectare plots, you measure the trees, yeah, the size, the width, and in places which are forest today, but not forest in the past. Right? So this is forest edge here. The black ones here, but not the one here. These ones are abandoned pastures. It's simplistic. Abandoned pastures, cacao, coffee, lemon. But all in all, an oligarchy, we say, of planted species. Never about the roughly 50 planted species in a Chakra ocean system, which is here. And on the y-axis, we have the biomass. Yeah? You know, the biomass is an indicator of carbon sequestration. By means of photosynthesis, trees eat the carbon dioxide, convert it into wood. So if you measure the trunk of a tree, you can get an estimator, a proxy of how much biomass is captured by this tree above ground. Below ground, you need the roots, the soil itself, and so on, but at least above ground, you can get something. And look at this. Okay, you say this is classic ecology, you get it in textbooks. Jog forest, and on the y-axis, biomass, few biomass. Older forest, more biomass. Older forest, more biomass. All of them abandoned pastures. And then, roughly the same age for a forest. But former Chakra ocean puro, you say, what? What are the Quechua guys doing? They don't care on climate change. I mean, if you let your forest to get carbon dioxide, you are contributing to reduce carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and reducing climate change. No, at least the lady who was planting this Chakra ocean puro, she was not carrying on it. Perhaps because climate change is something very new. We can say it started during the Anthropocene, particularly after the Industrial Revolution and onwards. Okay? It was occurring in Germany, in the United States, in the large city, Sao Paulo, now in China. It was occurring somewhere else, it was not occurring in the Amazon. Number one. Number two, it became a topic because of some guys called university ecologists reading books, making measurements, and saying, oh, the planet is getting warmer and we are in a hurry. It's true. But again, it is coming from the university. It is not coming from the concrete life. Give it a click now. Here for comparing just a mature forest, all right? So no one of those reached that one because they need time, but apparently the Chakra ocean needs more time than a former male for recovering the biomass. But look what is here. Don't get Don't make it too complicated with the many lines. Look at the central ones. Look at the one here, 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 and here. That's what we in ecology call the rarefaction curves, species cumulative curves. Essentially, the higher the curve, the more biodiverse the place is. Yeah? So here, you have this place here having very few carbon dioxide captured, you know, as an above ground biomass. The same plot, much more plant species in there. What does it say compared to the other ones? Compared to the other ones, what does it say about a cosmovision? Well, I don't care on climate change. I don't know what it is, but I need the forest to remain diverse. I need biodiversity. So I take care of biodiversity. I plant a larger number of species during my forest manipulation. And by means of other manipulations like selective logging, I am enhancing biodiversity. Yeah? When you take a log, you open a gap and then the sun is shining and some light demanding species grow there. But the one you didn't cut remains shaded, the area. It remains shaded. So, okay, shade tolerant species stay there. That's basic ecology textbook. Yeah? Julian Deslow, one of my heroes, she developed that very well. It is called the gap dynamics theory, and it helps to enhance biodiversity. So the overall manipulations they are making, including active planting, including becoming part of the seed dispersal process by means of helping nature to refill the gap. I and my wife were clear-cutting. That enhances biodiversity and it enhances food security. Because you have more different plants to eat. If one gets sick, you don't harvest anything from it, okay, you get something from the other one, and the other one, and the other one. And if one is not blooming and fruiting now, the other one is doing it. So keeping a diverse context is part of the lifestyle, part of the cosmovision. Climate change, not yet. But ecology is not enough. Ecology is not enough. I started talking about cosmovisions and now want to move somewhere else, but Julian, you wanted to say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, even though the biomass is low,
Do you want me to go back?
you could also say that I imagine that the population size dependent on that quantity of resources, it's much bigger. So even though I would say that you have a larger population relying on less resources. You see what I mean? Like, even though the biomass is low, the number of people that is supported by that area is big. And that is actually a lower impact on the planet than, say, a small number of people using more resources that I would imagine that the kind of cash crops and that kind of thing reduces.
So you're trying to say that even having low biomass,
even though it's low biomass, and in terms of like our vision of whether that's good or bad, because we in the Western world we want the forest as big as possible to absorb as much of the carbon dioxide as possible. Even though that's low, the area that they use, it supports a big population. So in a way, they're using less resources to sustain the population, basically.
it's a good point. I think it's distributed following your logic, is related to where are the people living, how concentrated they are. Not only how many people, but where they are. Yeah? If they are distributed in not such a high density way, then the impact is lower. And it gives a hope, because that means tropical forests recover. Yeah, there is clear cutting, but there is also recovery. You can clear cut areas, pot metal, but once you quit them, the forest recovers quite well. Yeah, in terms of biomass. And there is no overlap between this line here, the dotted lines, and the other lines here. These dotted lines represent how similar is the flora here compared to each other. Yeah? More overlap means more shared species. So apparently, but that's clear, not apparently, that's clear. The process of forest recovery after pasture and oligoculture, cacao, citrus, coffee, and so on, generated a different type of forest in terms of which species are present. Yeah, you get some species here, and in contrast, the Chakra Ushuburu generated quite a different species composition. The result, come back to the area picture, please. Yeah, one result of it is what we call more to the area picture, to the satellite image. One result of it is not visible here, is the so-called beta diversity. In ecology, we call alpha diversity to the local diversity on a single stand. Landscape level diversity is called beta diversity. So here you have one species composition, you have another, and at the end of the day, you get a mosaic. You get a mosaic. So at a 1 hectare level, they look different, and they are. So when you expand the scale to, let's say, 200 hectares level, then you get more, because different people were using the land in a different way. So that's why one lesson I got from here was okay, it's not good to put an ethnical tag on it, because the Latinos were the one doing it, and they got another species composition. The key thing is how intense is the manipulation, how hard, how expanded. If there is forest surrounding, there is a hope. Of course, you need protected areas. Sometimes, for example, somewhere here is a huge national park, because many elements of the fauna do better in almost virgin forest.
Sorry, just need to go about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And which is alpha level diversity, which is beta? Is beta the smaller level diversity, or is that the bigger one?
The other way around. Beta is the bigger one.
Beta
is the landscape level diversity. Alpha is the local level diversity. So let's go to the end. What makes a cosmovision? I want to take advantage of you guys. Yeah. I would like to make an experiment. It is quite rare to have an arc. Thank you, Grace. If we look into ourselves, what we have people from social science, we have one ecologist working on plant ecologies and evolution and so on. We have political science, we have artists, we have people from Japan, we have people from the United States, and the United States is uneven, people from England. We have a lot of different backgrounds. We did not grow together. Yeah? So we are roughly a good, crazy or not so crazy sample of human kin. Of course, we have no one from China and India. That would make the thing much more representative. Nigeria, statistically, I mean. But at least we are a better sample than many other events. So, I would like to expose you to some concrete objects. I want to make a survey, but surveys are boring. So I want my survey to be playing different games. When I get this here, for example, I can build up my own cosmovision by means of contacting the plants, smelling, chewing some of them, be careful if you do it, looking into the forms, feeling the textures. These plants are to be used in the experiment, but I still want you to distribute themselves and start having a feeling on them.
But the experiment's this afternoon.
This experiment is this afternoon. Here we will do another. Toys are heart of the development of our cosmovision. I want you to have just a contact and start a feeling. For smokers and non-smokers, tobacco is widespread. Some people use it for different purposes, like opening the nose. I learned that in the Amazon. The shaman was cleaning me and teaching me that. So you develop a cosmovision, you develop a worldview, and just please keep it in mind. And I would like to make some experiments very individually. Thank you.